Well, hi everybody, it's Doug. I know it's been a while, and I've been wanting to get together some videos showing you some of my favorite locks, and I figured before getting too involved in sort of the variety of locks, I wanted to start you out with a tour through all of my push key locks. Let's get more specific. So what we're talking about is in 1890, Yale patented a Pin Tumbler Push Key. So before this time, all of their locks, you would turn the key and it would affect levers within the lock. Introducing this, and you can actually see it from the patent, but basically the pins are going to be up here and pushing down on the elements of the key, on the key pins, just like modern traditional locks. And I get the feeling this was the introduction of Pin Tumbler. The main thing that most people are surprised about when they first encounter one of these things is they try turning the key and it doesn't turn. And this is because, as most of you already know, this just lifts the pins up and releases the plug inside the lock so that we can just pull, and it's actually easier to push in this case. You can push and then the plug moves in and pushes the shackle, which is attached to it, out of the body. So this one, I can't place a year on all of these things, but I'm getting the feeling that this is probably like their early 1890s version of this lock. Some of the experts might be able to better tell, but the first thing you'll notice is it's a completely flat key. Now, later versions of this, still the flat key. The one major difference is the better looking Yale and the cloverleaf on the back, which they didn't put on the back. We know that the cloverleaf went out of use in 1929, so this would have to be somewhere between 1890 and 1929. And again, nothing special about this, but it works just like the others. I've actually got some videos where I took some of these that were completely rusty, soaked them in vinegar, took all the rust off, refinished them with some fresh oil, and then keyed them. So I'll actually show how we take this thing apart and line up the key and the plug, get all the pins set up, and actually file down to make a matching key. Now this one is what they call the bulwark, and this one is the really nice looking Yale in town, the stretched out logo, which I've talked to you about before. And this one uses a grooved key, which tells me that this has to be later than these simpler keys. So this one might be much closer to the 1929 era. So these are some of the main Yale locks. And then I've got this one over here. Then I've also got this cute little one that I got. I basically picked up a bunch of locks together, and this tiny little one was in there. Again, the logo probably puts it in the same era as this one. This is another one that I had to clean up and got myself a key style. This is actually an antique key, and I filed it down to match the pins. So this is sort of the gamut of the Yales. Now, I'm going to take a detour before I show you the remaining ones, but the detour is this. These, when you get one, you can't exactly just pick it and start taking it apart. You need to get it open to take it apart. You must pick it. You can't have the key in there in order to pull it open and then start disassembling things. But in order to do this, yes, you can pick, but there is an easier method. And this I've demonstrated in an earlier video, but I'll demonstrate it again. These are so old that they have that gap right above the plug. So what you can do is you can get a shim into that gap. Now remember what I talked to you about. Right above here is the Bible, this is where the pins are pushing down into the plug and keeping the plug from coming out. So we need to get those pins above that line, that shear line, and then the plug will be free to move. So what we do is we get the shim in there and we start jiggling the key pins and pushing in until it moves down. Now you can see there it actually moved down. I'll do a sideways-ish view for the next one. So that was the first key pin. Let me get the second pin. Much harder sideways. There it just went in. Third pin. Now the other tricky part is some of these pins are rather rough, so if you push too hard against the next top pin, the driver pin, you can actually bind it because the what do you call it? The shim will actually just hold the pin in place, which I think I was just feeling happening right now. So if you're really good with a rake, you could just get in there and rake the heck out of this until it works. But I am not very good with a rake, which doesn't work well in the fall anyways, because it's leaf time. Let me see. I'm not quite there, but I'm getting there. That one, I just got it in. I just got it to move down a little further. Pardon my fat hand in the way. And one more, I think, unless I'm already there. Nope, I just pushed in on the plug and it didn't go, so I'm just gonna, oh, I think I might have just, one more. Luckily, these are only like 4 pins in most cases, so there's not too much further to go. And there we go. Okay, I've reached between all the pins. You'll get a better view once I get this out of the way. So you could see my shim is in there. It's pushing against, it's blocking the pins from the top of the plug. And now, whoa, I thought I had it. I guess I had one more to go. There we go. Now the plug went, the shim went way in, and now I can pull it open and twist it. So that shim is holding my pins away from the key position. So that is the way you would actually shim one of these things. And then, like I said, we've got a whole video where we take this screw part out and it allows you to completely disassemble the lock. So going into the remaining locks of my collection of the push keys, we've got these 2 Sargents, and if you'll notice, there's a big difference in design of the Sargent, where this one has like those little pipes that go, let me see if I can zoom in a little, that it almost looks like it's assembled out of pipes, where the one on the right is a flat design. Couldn't tell you which one came first. I'd have to do some research. Oh, actually, I can tell you easily, because this is the flat key before they had the sophisticated key technology. And this is a serrated key, like the more modern. So this is obviously the more modern design. They simplified it. I've also got a Slaymaker. This was back when Frame owned them, so it was Frame Slaymaker, FS. Again. And most of these, like I said, I got them rusty and cleaned them all off, put them back together. And some came with keys, some didn't. And then finally, I was saving this for last for a reason. This is a very different looking eagle lock. First of all, the more modern, usually I believe that were the ones that had the round piece for the shackle. Sorry for pulling that out of your view. So with the round piece there, I believe that's more modern, where the flat shackle bronze is the older one. And again, that goes along with how Yale started with the flat bronze and then went to the more modern rounded shackle. But the other thing that's really unique about this one, this is one thing that makes this fully unique, is that it's all brass. But the other thing that makes it unique, remember how I showed you that we could shove something in there, a shim, to get in there above the shear line? This has a protection above the pins, so you can't really get anything in there to push the pins above the shear line. So it actually has that protection against picking it by that method. So there you go. That is my collection. Oh, there is one more. Save this for dead last. This was actually my very first Pin Tumbler Push Key, PTPK. I got this one among a big box full of old locks that I bought in collaboration with Chris Capune, and had never seen any locks like this in person, so it was my first time. I took it all apart. I made a key for it. The only thing was that I was at my worst. I'd never made a key before in my life, and I ended up drilling or filing the key just a tiny bit too low. So as a result, it's very finicky, and you got to hold it just right in order to get the key to work. My plan is to get a new key blank. This is the key blank is a CO1, that's Corbin 1, which was apparently the very first key blank in what you see when you're looking in the Ilco key blanks. So it is that CO1, and I'm just going to get a new key blank and take this apart, make a new key for it using the key blank, and then I'll be happy with that. So there we go. Hopefully you enjoyed our little tour of all of my cool Pin Tumbler Push Key locks. The whole line of Yales, the neat little eagle with the protection against shimming, and then the frame Slaymaker, the two sergeants, and the Corbin. There's a whole lot more of these things, especially in railroad. That's a whole different story. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate, and I even have more, I know, if I look around, but I figured I'd bore you enough with these. Thanks, take care. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned a little bit about how we shim those things, and I'll try to make a reference in the notes on the videos where I took some of these apart and rebuilt them. All right, thanks, take care. Hey, leave a thumbs up if you get a chance. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and thank you everybody else who is subscribed. We'll try to get more tour of antique locks in the future.